Welcome everybody to our leadership mastery call. We are so absolutely thrilled. Boyd, I'm so excited. I can't even tell you to have Boyd Truman on the call today. We do a gold mastery, silver mastery, and a diamond mastery program for each of those ranks, and we thought we'd combine them all today and have a very special guest. I met you, Boyd, I think it was in Mexico actually, is when I first met you, and you taught me about TerraZyme. That was my first memory of you, being on a bus during the incentive trip. And I've just watched you over the years, and I've just always been in awe of you and Sandy and Gina, and have been so intrigued by your culture and your team spirit and the way that you've built. And one thing, and I sought you out, I don't know if you remember, at the leadership conference as a mentor when they were doing a mastermind at Brand Hovey's event, and they were pairing up blues with presidentials. I chose you because something that I noticed about you is that you're always just so calm. And I liked that. And I thought, wait a second, he's a double presidential diamond, but he seems like he's got it together. He doesn't have this frantic look. He just seems calm and surreal and hopeful. And I think that probably stems from your visionary mindset and your belief about the future. But I'm so excited to have you, so thrilled. Thank you so much. I'm turning the time over to you. Welcome, welcome.
Thank you. You can hear me, right?
I can hear you, yep.
Okay, good. Well, thanks, Callie. I mean, you're extremely nice. And to tell you the truth, ever since that conversation in Mexico, you and your husband remain being a couple of my favorite people in doTERRA. So I very much appreciate you guys and what you guys bring to the table as well. So anyway, okay, so I'll just share this as I go. So, okay, so if you looked at me and thought that you saw calm and surreal, I guess I hope that would be the way it would come across to people, because that's truly how I try and live this life. As I tell this story, or as I did the other day at the presidential pursuit, I think the thing that Sandy and I have tried to do, obviously we have 8 kids, and they're number one to us, to spend time with them and have them. And although I had some help from Sandy in the beginning when we first started, and you know, especially surrounding the Dr. Mom phenomenon, that first year and a half before doTERRA couldn't use that word or those words anymore, that title, for legal purposes. But so I had her help for the first year and a half before our 8th child was born. And but again, we decided that we have to do things differently, because we had to prioritize and make sure that, again, our family came first. And so I just kind of went about things the way that I knew how. And that was mostly by not necessarily thinking my way through things, but feeling my way through things. And I think, just like a lot of you on this chat, is, you know, you fall in love with a few people in the company, whether that's your upline or you've aligned yourself with them because you believe what they believe, you value what they value. And I think that's what it came down to for us with some of the executives who we'd never met before. Because with us coming from an essential oil background with other companies, that was difficult. That was not fun. And so meeting Dave Sterling and Emily Wright, I needed an assurance that all would be well, not only just by joining, but you know, moving through the years, that certain things would still happen the way Dave Sterling said that they were going to happen. And you know what? So far, so good. But anyway, as we went forward, and I didn't have Sandy's help again after that 8th child, and you know, of course, she'd join in with an event here and there. She'd travel with me here and there, but anyway, so again, I thought I had to do this differently, and I didn't necessarily have buy-in from Sandy on the way that I did things. She thought that I generally lived my life in the clouds and that I was a dreamer, and okay, so maybe I was, but there was a method to my madness, and I didn't necessarily understand what that method was. I just kind of innately did some things and put some things into practice and tested some things out in my own life. And this is where Sandy and I had many disagreements in the beginning. As I told this story on Saturday, Callie, that we were not totally aligned. And this was even after we made Diamond. Sandy wanted me to, at 43, 44, I think, she wanted me to go back to school because I'm a junior at UNLV, and I never finished because there was other things I wanted to do and other things that I wanted to learn outside of the university that weren't being taught. And so as we kind of got this heated conversation, because at that time, it's still this new company. We're a year and a half into it, although we had broken the $10,000 range as far as a monthly check goes. She still wasn't necessarily sold on that type of lifestyle. And, I think a lot of us have come from a space like that is direct selling really for me. I've lost some friends over it type of a thing, or maybe you're fearing that you don't want to lose some friends or family members that think differently of you. And I think we finally had to come to the agreement that what she wanted for me was not what I wanted for myself. And I basically had to tell her that her reality is not my reality. And because she used to say that she needed me to be this type of person and that type of person, and get a full degree and go into something. And again, I wasn't interested in anything like that. And so that was a pivotal point both in our relationship as spouses, but also our doTERRA business, because unbeknownst to her, and it's interesting because, as you know, Callie, it was my birthday the very next day after I spoke, and my wife actually posted something on Facebook that was very, very kind of her. And she basically said that, in the beginning, she didn't necessarily trust me. She was kind of wondering where I was going, and with, job and career and whatnot. And she said she didn't put too much trust in me, but after a while, it came full circle, and she understood that everything I'd been learning, all of the different trainings to do with health and nutrition and other things were starting to come to fruition and feel right. And so it was nice to see that she's come full circle, and she's okay with that. She's okay finally that I didn't finish college. She's okay with the fact that, yes, I may have been dreaming, but what I've been dreaming and visualizing for years and working towards has come to pass. And doTERRA just happens to be a very, very large part of that. So anyway, I tried to make sense of all of this, just like I tried to make sense of essential oils for people. If we had a background in that, then let's simplify things. And that's why I write some of the books that I do. Is most people want it to be simple and to the point, and that's why I created the body systems chart and some of the other books like Essential Oils Expanded. And anyway, it was to simplify so that people didn't make it so difficult. Well, I tried to do the same thing with the psyche too, with psychology of what us human beings go through, what we feel, what emotions we go through, and how to make sense of everything that we're going through. And so as last year's February of 2015, when Elise asked me to come and speak at that other presidential meeting for Diamonds and Blues, it was to share my secret sauce. And again, to me, it was just innate. I just kind of did what I did. There was no secret sauce, because as I asked the question to Elise, I said, now you and Patrick, what do you guys work each week? I said, individually, you guys work what, 50, 60 hours a week? She goes, oh yeah, easy. I said, so together you're working well over 100 hours a week, right? And she said, oh, easy. Yeah, 120, somewhere in that range. I said, what about the Goddards? And she said, maybe a little less because they had just left to go be with their kids. And she said, maybe a little bit less, but probably still over 100 hours together. And I just kind of raised my hand to the crowd, guys. And I said, you know what, Sandy and myself, 30 hours. And because again, I don't have Sandy's help. She's focused on the kids, again, which was our choice. But for me, I don't do doTERRA all day long. I don't strategize necessarily like some that you've heard strategize. I don't buy into systems per se. All things are good. Hey, it's whatever you want to learn from. And that's what I've always suggested to our team is, you know what, go learn from 10 different leaders and take 10% from each one of them and make it your own. Just learn, because the reason I disagree with certain systems or systems in general is you can't take 100 people and teach them the exact same thing and think that there's going to be the exact same output. Just like giving 100 depressed people Prozac and saying Prozac is going to work for them. No, it only works for a certain percentage. And so Sandy and I have always moved forward working with the individual as an individual, working with each team leader differently based on their personalities, based on their beliefs and values, based on their upbringing, based on their talents and abilities. Anyway, as things have occurred, and I'll show this next screen, some of you have probably felt like this. You see this all these words and definitions and thoughts just swirling around over your head and not knowing where you're going with stuff. Yeah, you need to make an income, and you try to be positive, and you have some passion for this, that, or the other, and you're setting goals, and you're optimistic, and you have some action to what you're doing, and so all these things are swirling around, but you don't know how to fit them all together. You hear lecture after lecture, and there's some good tidbits and nuggets here and there, but nothing has ever really been put together that shows you a path of getting there. So I put True Results together and called the workbook Pathway to Purpose to show people that, again, this is just from me. It's the way that things happened for me. And then I simply had to put pen to paper after I'd basically tested this out over the last 6 or 7 years. And because as I say, again, with systems and trying to learn actually from too many people's or go to too many lectures, to me, it's about looking inside yourself. To me, it's about having those answers come from within. And that's why I did the Pathway to Purpose workbook, was let's let the answers come from you. And this, so as you see some of the bullet points there, to give you a greater sense of moving forward, making sense of the world around you. So, a lot of times in doTERRA, there's a lot of, shall we say, outside noise. And sometimes, again, it's both noise and all of these thoughts and feelings and emotions that just swirling above your head, and you don't, again, know how to make sense of that. And there's a lot of opinions, and you're pulling all this in. Unfortunately, lately, there's been a little bit of negativity on the diamond and blue diamond boards on Facebook. And I'm like, well, wait. Why are things becoming negative? So we had an FDA issue. I look at that as a blessing. So we had this security breach. Hey, nothing totally really happened bad to anybody. And yet, it's just moving forward. It's not letting that outside noise or some of those things get us down. Anyway, so again, let's put this, you put all these words and all these feelings and emotions, and let's put them in a funnel and funnel it down to something that actually makes sense. And the thing that I came up with that made the most sense to me, and what ultimately Elise and others asked me to share about my secret sauce. Well, there was no secret sauce. There was just kind of, again, this method to the madness. But here's something I wrote in my notebook years ago when I was in Taiwan working with my team. And I said, this is 2010, probably 2011. And I said, because what are we taught in direct selling? Set your goals. So, okay, before the goal setting though, before the list of contacts, okay, right? You're told to, hey, make your list of contacts, okay? But before the phone calls are made, before the meetings and events are planned, there is one more important thing that must be done in order to achieve success. Now, some of you may think that the whole heart and mind connection is passé and not important. Well, I beg to differ, because that's exactly how I created what I've done in less hours than most other people in doTERRA, so that I truly have freedom and a schedule that is very simple. Yes, when I travel internationally, sure, I work 14-hour days. I'm there to work. I'm not there to see the Great Wall of China and tour. But I go for a week to 10 days, work, come home, and get back to my normal little schedule. But anyway, as you see here, we've got 3 different periods that are explained. You've got the creating period, then the proving period, which is the test, and the expansion period. So let's just move on and talk about values. Well, before I actually say that, let me just say this. In the Pathway to Purpose workbook, I put a few quotes there to help people. I put quotes throughout because I think when I can draw from other people, especially those that have passed on and have shared universal truths for hundreds of years, it says that, hey, these are right. These concepts and theories have been around not just for the last 10 or 20 years. They've been around for hundreds and thousands of years, because what we're trying to really do is follow universal principles and truths. We're trying to follow spiritual truths. And so one of the quotes I put in the workbook is, the task of leadership is not to put greatness into people, but to elicit it, for the greatness is there already. So we all are capable. We all have talents and abilities. It's where do we choose to go with that? Most of us hold ourselves back. We'll get to that in a minute. One of the other quotes from Carl Jung: your vision will become clear only when you can look in your own heart. Who looks outside dreams. Who looks inside awakens. So as we talk about values, sometimes we use values, or we connect with somebody else's values because, hey, it's important to them. They're on stage. It's exciting. I like what they're saying. But then you go to implement some of those things in your own life and you're like, I don't necessarily like this portion. Now, not that you disagree with everything. You'll utilize, again, what you can take from each thing and each person and each seminar or each training a little bit at a time to make it your own. But does one ever totally connect with another person's values and ideals and principles that they're committed to? That they differ from person to person. But as we talk about, in doTERRA, and I didn't make this workbook doTERRA specific. Yes, it draws from mine and Sandy's, some of our experiences in doTERRA, but also outside of doTERRA and before doTERRA even took place. But again, when we can identify, and the first and foremost is, what are our values? What do we truly value? We spend a full chapter on this, just talking about values and helping you to identify what those values are. What do you really put on the top of your list? Do you have honesty as the thing that so therefore you choose your direct team and downline based on honesty? Is that your ideal? Or is your ideal competition, fast and furious, work? If that's what you value, then you probably want to find people that are like that. But I can tell you this right now, if you're like that, you're going to lose all the healers that are on your team, because healers do not think that way. So if I may, I'm going to draw upon the book, The Tipping Point by Malcolm Gladwell, that I read 7 or 8 years ago. And that made a lot of sense to me. Some of you have probably read that, and he basically talks about mavens, connectors, and salesmen. Now, mavens are the ones that basically, these are generally not necessarily your nerds, but those that love data. They love information. They read consumer reports. They read everything that comes out about, ideas and technology. And then they go share the word, generally through social media or to their friends. They just kind of spread the word. That's what the mavens do. Then they get them to a connector, though. Connectors connect with all the people. Now, most of us have a tight-knit group of friends or acquaintances that we feel that are close to us, generally about 30 people. But what he says is connectors feel that way towards a few hundred or more people. Well, that would be my sister Rhonda. My sister Rhonda is also Presidential Diamond. She's just a connector. She connects with other people. She doesn't care who they are. I remember being at Sundance once, and I look over and she's talking to Goldie Hawn. Who does this? And then, the same thing when she worked at the movie theaters, and there was a night that Robert Redford came in with his family and watched a movie. And now all of a sudden she's talking to Robert. I don't know how she does this. I would stay far away from people. But yet she connects because she believes that everybody is her friend. She believes that everybody is not just an acquaintance, but a close friend to her. That's what connectors do. They connect information with the masses. Okay, then you have the salesman. The salesmen don't necessarily, in the way that we think of it, sell, but most likely it's more about taking the word, taking an example of something, or taking a product and simplifying the information so that it's understandable to the masses. So they do have a way of tweaking the word and making it sellable. Well, for one of the first trainings that I ever did in doTERRA back in, I think, 2009, 2010, was based on this. But for our purposes in doTERRA, I added the healer. Why the healer? Well, the healer, we need to add that person into the doTERRA equation because some of us don't like to touch other people. Some of us don't want to open bottles and start rubbing people's necks and hands, but the healer does. So that's why I was saying earlier, if you've got someone that is, all about excitement and push the business, you're going to lose the healers in the group. They don't want that. They don't want the information shared that way. They don't want to learn it that way. Same as a maven. So again, we look at personalities, we look at talents and abilities, but what we've tried to do is look at the individual and say, how do they choose to move forward with their business? Well, we can understand that by helping them understand what they truly value. Again, is it a dollar figure that they value? Is that what they have set as their ideal? Is a rank? I don't know. It depends on you, but we help people work through understanding what values and ideals and what principles that they are committed to. Because when we, as you can see, the blue part there, that is our bedrock. That is the strong soil that we create as our foundation before we lay that first tier of concrete on that foundation. So we have to have those values and ideals have to be so strong that no matter what happens, we don't get lost. We don't go off on a tangent. It has to be so meaningful. And again, you get to decide. That's the beauty of this. You're not living off of somebody else's values. It may feel comfortable for a while, but then you'll start to say, I disagree with certain things. Only you can tell yourself where you choose to go in life with your ideals and your purpose. So anyway, create that huge foundation, because ultimately principles, they need to be inflexible. That's what Abraham Lincoln said years ago. They have to be inflexible. When you are so excited and thrilled and so understanding of those values, nothing should be able to knock you or keep you away from doing exactly what you choose. Now, after we understand those values, then we start to believe. Now we can choose what to believe. Now, some people say, well, wait, we have to believe the values first. No. You choose values and ideals that's innate inside you. Then you start to develop how you believe. Now you can say, okay, so therefore, if one of the greatest things to me is, again, if they say anything, relationship, I want honorable, trusting relationships. I value that over anything else in my life. I want to connect with people and have strong, very open communication, honest relationships. That's what I value. Okay, so now we can start to believe in something very strong in that, to say, okay, now if that's what I believe moving forward, then you'll start to create a belief system and a mindset and thoughts based on that. So, and also when you believe in something so strong, then you have a lot of faith that backs that up and you trust the system to be able to move forward. Well, once we believe in something, then don't we start to get excited about it? That's emotion, that's passion. So we go to the third line there, that we get emotion and passion, and we start to feel that this is what we truly love about life. We've decided what our values and beliefs are. Now we can get a lot of passionate emotion behind that, which ultimately turns to what? Now we start to see. We start to imagine the possibilities. We start to visualize exactly what we start to feel and believe. It doesn't, oh, I believe this, and then you don't have any emotion or any visual behind that. No, when you believe something strong enough, you start to automatically get very passionate about it, and you start to put yourself in the state of mind to be able to think, to be able to expand that idea, to start to visualize what you want. I mean, most of the greatest people in the world, when asked about, how something happened to them, do you ever, okay, let's just take the Oscars. Okay, you have these actors winning Oscars or whatever form, whether it's whether it's Michael Jordan. But the funny thing is every one of you have heard this thousands of times during your life when people are being interviewed. If they've won something or won a competition or they're the best at what they do, every one of you have heard people like this say over 1,000 times, you know what? It's exactly how I thought and imagined things would happen, right? You've heard that hundreds and thousands of times in your life. When people have won something, even Michael Jordan said it literally dozens and dozens of times on tape, that it came to fruition exactly how he had imagined it. Hitting that last shot, winning that last champion, putting that in that tip in. We've all done it. We just don't necessarily pay attention to what we're doing, but just think of that. They use the word, I've imagined it. This is the way I've dreamt about it my whole life. Do you believe that there's some passion behind that? Do you believe that they believed in that? Most certainly they did, but they used the visualization part to really drive that home. Anyway, that's the creating period that is so important. And as I said the other day, that creative period, that's where I spend 80% of my time and effort and focus. It's in the values, belief, emotion, and visualization part. I think, I draw upon emotion, I draw upon seeing things happening over and over again. And especially when we can talk about beliefs as well, you have the subconscious. And I don't know how many of you understand the subconscious. Maybe some of you really understand it. But the coolest thing about the creative process is pulling in the subconscious. Now, there's two ways of changing your bad experiences in your life. Now, I learned this from one of my best friends who's a PhD psychologist, and he was teaching us what neurologists are working on, but also the world of psychology is paying attention to. And so when he read through this, he let's just say there were some great words that we have exchanged back and forth, and he was very excited about this. But anyway, he said there's only two ways to be able to change an experience. So say you've experienced something very negative or poor or sad or a limiting belief in your life. And most of us have limits. We've set limitations, which I don't totally understand, because as I say, if we're limiting ourselves and we have limiting beliefs, then maybe we need to go have a better conversation with deity, with our God, because God did not limit us. Why would we limit ourselves? Okay, so some of us have been conditioned. Well, again, we bought into something that was untrue, though. You may have learned that from your parents or siblings or a coworker or generally early on in life. But God didn't limit us. We were sent here to be creators, were we not? Not just to procreate, but to create great stuff for ourselves. So I've always told people, you get to create exactly what you want. You are the direct result of everything that you've imagined and felt in your life. That's why this creating period is so important, because when we teach the subconscious, now the subconscious just lays back and waits for us to teach it something, right? So consciously we're aware and we think thoughts and do, we consciously are aware of what we're going through and what we're thinking, but we don't have to necessarily buy into some of those things that we're going through as gospel, as truth. But yet sometimes we do. Again, our parents fight, whatever happened in our past, we've bought into that life stinks or whatever else, or we created a limiting belief, just like I did when my dad told me that when I asked him about money and when I was 11 years old, and he told me that I just make a couple thousand a month. And I thought, wow, that's really cool as an 11-year-old. But my dad didn't tell me the truth. He was just being humble. But I bought into that. And so in my 20s, what was I earning for 2 or 3 years in a row? $2,000 a month. I could not get over that until I made myself consciously aware. And then I had to change that feeling and belief and emotion. And so I had to imagine bigger and better for myself. And again, going back to my buddy, when he said that the two ways to change experience or what we have experienced and that keeps reoccurring in our life, the only two ways is to experience something different, to actually engage in different experiences. So see, most people, they think they know what they want, but then they hesitate going there. They get excited about going someplace, but they fear the arrival. Does this make sense to a lot of you? We get excited about stuff, but then we fear the outcome. We want to engage, but we are scared to see what happens on the other end. Or it may cause us to have or to gain more responsibility. Oh, heavens no, don't put any more responsibility on me, right? No, we are here to expand ourselves and to create more and better. So anyway, so number one was to, again, go through a different experience. You physically need to go through different experiences to say, okay, that was of the past. I could now change my outcome because now I've experienced something different that has taught me that I don't have to think that way anymore, that I don't have to believe that way anymore. Well, guess what? The second way is by doing what? Visualization. Because the subconscious cannot tell if you physically lived through it or not. The subconscious doesn't judge. It just does what it's being taught. So what are we teaching our subconscious? Well, whatever your most dominant thoughts and feelings are during the day, that is what your subconscious is aware of. And so what does your subconscious do? It goes out and gets more of that for you. This is where, again, this is so meaningful and strong, and I get so passionate about this that is the greatest way that I know how to explain to you guys that mine and Sandy's reality. I knew, again, going back to our first goal was to still have a lot of quality family time. And to do that, I knew that I needed to work smarter, not harder. Why would Sandy and I want to spend 100+ hours a week jointly away from our kids? I don't want to. We did not want to. So I knew I had to do it differently. And as I explained the other day, and again, some of you may know a lot of this, and let's just help you, expand on that. And those that may not understand some of it, let's get you there. But the cool thing is that, guys, thought. So again, we get to choose what we think each and every day. Thought is a spiritual faculty. And understanding that, everybody right there thinks, oh, shoot, what have I been thinking? Well, that's a spiritual gift. So whatever you've been thinking, either shame on yourself or, hey, good job. But that's why I say be careful what you think. Because ultimately what you think and believe, again, you create emotion around that. So see, we can liken this to anything. We can liken this to relationships. We can liken this to your own personal teams. What you believe, what are your most dominant thoughts. If you feel like, oh, I've bought into this job, now all of a sudden I'm in management mode and everybody's driving me crazy. Well, okay, so it so happens that yes, there's more responsibility placed on you if you choose to think of it as responsibility. Another thing we've tried to do, especially when we try and help people come up with their own answers, they get to take, yes, responsibility and accountability, but what that does is that creates a lot of independence really fast. That's what I'm into, is creating independence for people, or having them create independence. Yes, we teach them, we baby them, we nourish them, but let's get them to be able to answer their own questions. Why should I call corporate for them every time they have a question? They can call corporate if they have a question that they can't answer. So it's training people to do for themselves what sometimes they think someone else should do for them. Again, this, you look at doTERRA, and most of us have kind of joked about this, but really doTERRA is packaged up as a self-improvement course, right? And I usually say this too, the more balanced you are, the more aware you are of yourself, and the more you've worked on yourself, the more your business will work for you. So it really is coming to terms and grips with how you feel about life and responsibility, or did you have a failure? Well, failure isn't failing. Failure is just saying, hey, I learned a way not to do it next time. That's okay. You're gaining greater understanding and wisdom, and we'll get there. But okay, so I didn't want to talk about visualization and emotion and belief too much, but at the same time, like I said, that's where I spend my time, thinking, feeling, seeing things happen. Yeah, I've used a vision board, I've done other things, but it's really when I'm one-on-one, closing my eyes, imagining things, and then you put feeling behind that. So see, again, yeah, thinking, we're talking about a mental game, but let's get our heart involved. Now we're talking even more so of a spiritual game. So our heart is definitely more powerful than the brain. And we point that out in the system. That's research done from the Heart Math Institute. Some of you may have heard about. But measured by an EKG and an EKCG, the heart is way more powerful. It gives out more electricity and it gives out more magnetism than the brain does. It gives out a greater vibration. So if we're taught from the good book to basically think from our heart, this is how we think from our heart. We send out love and gratitude. That's how we get our heart involved, because if we're bitter, again, we're going to get more things to feel bitter about. If we have challenges with, and we look at life as challenges with our downline or in our family, we will get more challenges, or we will get more things in our life to perceive as greater challenges. So again, your dominant thoughts and feelings ultimately win out the day. So now once we've visualized and got that emotion, guess what's going to happen? Normally in life, when we buy into something, when we decide that something is a truth for us, or that we finally start to stand our ground and take a stand and say, this is what I believe, well, guess what's going to happen? You're going to be tested. This is the proving phase. So there's a lot of people that have read stuff or seen stuff like The Secret or read books like that. The thing I disagree with is, unfortunately, they kind of just tell you to dream it and think about it and see it in your mind's eye, and it'll come to fruition. Only if you're a very, 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 very lucky person or learned how to do that exceptionally well. But the big challenge is, again, we need to draw from that. We need to draw from the emotion of love and gratitude to feel even gratitude for the crap that we are going through. That's where most people get lost. I mean, the good book, again, says to be grateful in all things. It doesn't just say to be grateful and positive towards only the good stuff in life. No, it's to be grateful for even the bad stuff that happens to us. Why? Because again, we're learning. That's what we're here to do, is learn and create. But again, once we start to be tested on something, now the universe or God, however you want to talk about it, your subconscious, superconscious, wants you to be involved with the actual action. So see, again, some of the thought from The Secret or something like that is you think it, and then you can go sit on the couch and you'll earn that $1 million check that you've always thought of. Well, no. You still have to engage with action. You have to actually set up things for you to do and engage with. Then there comes the skill portion too. Well, if you engage with action, it automatically will start to move you in the direction of learning the skill that is most appropriate to what? Your dominant thoughts and feelings. When those are totally aligned, you can speed up time. That's why, again, I say I spend 80% of my time in the creative period, because when I truly, truly, truly have that huge foundation of values and belief and excitement and passion, and I see exactly what I want, believe me, when you go into the testing and proving period, you burn right through that real quick, because things are exciting. Action and spending time doing that becomes exciting rather than, I've got to go do this now. I've got to go to another training. I've got to learn another skill. No, you quicken time by saying, no, let's engage with it now. Why wait off any longer? Then once you've gone through a lot of those, the action portion and the skill, and that does take time for some people. But what I'm saying again is when your values and beliefs and all that emotion, that creative period is so strong, so foundational for you, your path, again, becomes so direct and so clear that you just push right through the action skill and get to the deed portion. Why do we talk about deed? Well, everybody sees what you've become. Your team sees. I mean, you get exposed in this business. Doesn't matter what business you're in, even in personal life, in church setting, whatever setting you want to say, your deed will be exposed based on, yes, what you've chosen to partake in life, what the words you use, the action you've got connected with. Your words and your thoughts and your actions all become exposed to say, are you a product of the product that you're preaching about? Not just doTERRA, but your own personal attributes and talents. Are you the person that you would want to do business with? That's what I've asked in doTERRA forever. Are you the leader that you would want to do business with? Well, again, once you've gone through this and you learn, your deed has to be so connected to, so coherent with everything else that, yes, what you said in one conversation 4 months ago and what you do and your team saw it over here in this setting and in a different setting was the same thing. They see that you are connected to that deed. And I said to Callie the other day when we were talking about doing this, I said, Callie, I was congratulating on her for hitting presidential. And so therefore I will congratulate most of you on this call as well, because why? There was total buy-in. Callie somehow got total buy-in from you guys. And it's why? Well, she may think of it a different way, but she got total buy-in because she connected with you guys and or got some of you to connect with her on her core values and beliefs. She obviously had some passion and emotion behind that. And Callie, you certainly did say to yourself or think to yourself, you started to see yourself, not just putting it on paper, but you started to see yourself walk the red carpet. You imagined hitting Presidential Diamond. You imagined the feelings surrounding that, the emotion that it would take to get there. You saw your team getting behind you. You took snapshots in time of this leader and that leader connecting with you on more of an intimate level to be on the same page to move forward. And so therefore there was total buy-in from the team. So I say to all of you, you did it. And most of you did stuff just from what we're talking about. And now you can see that some of these principles are exactly what you've implemented. You just didn't necessarily make sense of it. But ultimately, Callie's deed, she is who she says she is. She does what she says she's going to do. There is no discrepancy there. And so hence another reason for total buy-in from the team. The team saw that my leader is doing something good. She's doing something for us as well. It's both take and receive. It's most, and give. So it's give, take, and receive all at the same time. She's giving, 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 sharing, sharing, sharing in hopes to get back. So by serving, we get to be served back. And this is one of the principles we've always taught on the Truman team is the more you serve, the more you will get back. So it's not sexy to go out and serve a lot of people. Hey, maybe strategy and being on a sales call or a strategy call or in a group of people to get them excited to enroll is sexy or more fun. But I'll tell you what, guys, that foundation that we built based on product, based on serving one another, based on understanding how the human body works with essential oils, that has served us well the last 8 years, and it continues to serve us well. But again, I ask other people, again, a lot of you don't know me on this call, but so I've asked my own team, what do you see that my deed is? Do you see that I am ski-womped? You know, am I off kilter somewhere? What I say in one conversation and do in another, did I create an inconsistency, or am I the person that I've promoted myself to be? Well, I don't promote myself. I simply just am the person I am. I try to make sure that everything that comes out of my mouth, everything that I engage in, every emotion and feeling that I have is based on doing better for this human race and connecting more people with doTERRA. Now, we have other gifts and talents that we can use and create for benefiting people even outside of doTERRA. That's great, but let doTERRA be the stepping stool for all of you to help you get there. Let doTERRA be that constant in your life. And this is where we've seen a lot of people fail. All of a sudden a big check comes and they lose their, shall we say, their why? Well, I simply say I agree with why and what Simon Sinek said in his book years ago. But to me, that the why isn't deep enough. So why is kind of a negative connotation as well to some people. But if you say, well, what's your why? Well, to earn a bigger paycheck, to spend more time with my family, to be in charge of my own time. These are mostly people's whys. But to me, it has to be deeper than that. It has to be, what is your true purpose here? When you connect with your true purpose, which is, again, the whole pathway to purpose and what the workbook does, you're basically writing your mission statement. Your mission statement ultimately becomes your purpose statement. I wrote my purpose statement years ago. No one's read it. I haven't read it to anybody, not even my wife. I wrote down about a page and a half of exactly what my mission statement / purpose statement is in life, and nothing is going to get me off of that path to where I'm going. So let me get there in a little bit more again. Okay, so now we've gone through action, skill, and deed. They've seen what you've become. They saw that you stayed the course. They see that you are walking your walk and talking your talk. You're very consistent and coherent with everything else. Now what you've learned into the expansion phase and period is you've gained wisdom. You've gained understanding. You've gained knowledge, and hopefully that is done well for you. One thing I pointed out is, unfortunately, when we try and go around the system, which a lot of people have tried to do in doTERRA and other things in their life, they don't want to necessarily engage with the action or the skill. They want to try and fake their way through. They, fake it till you make it. Guys, that doesn't work. It doesn't work. You can't fake experience. You can't fake true wisdom. You have to go through the steps. Life is about graduating one level to the next level, line upon line, precept upon precept, right? Well, this is my line upon line. This is my precept upon precept. And I did it just to put out to the world in a very non-abrasive way. In fact, it was Elise who told me to come and talk. It's been out for 2 or 3 months, and I haven't told hardly a soul other than a few people on my team. And it's there for the taking. But this is basically my line upon line, precept upon precept. And again, that funneling effect of all those things that had to occur for me to make sense of this pathway to purpose that I truly believe in. Anyway, again, now we've gained wisdom and understanding. But like I was going to say, the challenge is that some of us that have gone around the system, some of us that have fudged, if you are that type of person, around the deed and wisdom portion, posers will be found. Fraudulence will be found. And if wisdom has taught you that you succeeded by going around the system, you're going to keep doing the same thing then. You're going to try and go around every system in your life because that's what wisdom dictated to you, that, hey, I can scam this person or go around this person and I still can be successful. But once you don't pay attention to universal and spiritual truths, if you go around it too long or too ferociously, you will be caught. When you are so unbalanced and off of what I call center point or off of your North Star, you somewhere along the line, you will start to not just sidetrack, but you'll start to fail in your own right. You will start to create experiences that are not in the best interest of yourself or other human beings. But hopefully the wisdom that you are gaining is simply to say that you went through a lot of challenging times. You had to go through and get over certain feelings and emotions, certain limiting beliefs. You had to, whether it was connecting with your deity a little bit more strong, whether it was saying that, I just need a stronger why, which therefore becomes a huge purpose. I get to define that purpose exactly how I want to. Again, guys, it's up to you. It's up to you to decide. And if you're having a hard time deciding, some may simply just be scared of the future again. Some may be scared of the responsibility. Guys, again, we're here on this earth to create and be stretched. We're here to be used as proponents of beautiful thoughts and emotions, of serving our other human beings. And when we live in this wisdom and understanding, now we don't come from judgment. Now we don't come from a competition thing either. In fact, drop the competition thing. There is no need or reason to think that you have to hit a rank as quick as somebody else. And that's, again, what I wrote in my book a long time ago in my little notebook, is that I am not in competition with anybody. Because believe me, in the very beginning, corporate liked to perpetuate competition, especially between the Trumans, the Goddards, and the Shadowys. They were always telling, I told Sarah, I don't want to know. I told Emily, I don't care who's going for what rank when. It doesn't matter to me. And I think when people can drop the competition, again, wisdom dictates that there is no competition. You're in competition with yourself, and you'll get there when you can get there. You'll get there when you can master some of these steps along the way, when you can graduate from chapter to chapter, from principle to principle, when you can graduate, especially, and master the creative period to really focus in on the proving period and bust right through that. Like I said, with action, skill, and deed, you can really speed up time. And that is when you get, again, spirit, both heart and mind connected together to create the same result. This is where, you hear about being double-minded. It talks about that in the scriptures again. A double-minded man, okay? So you're going to be disconnected. There's going to be incongruence if you feel that way. So let's feel and think and visualize about the same thing occurring and happening. Be grateful for the hard times because they taught you well, hopefully. Anyway, connecting with your purpose. What is the purpose ultimately? Purpose is, again, exactly how you choose to define it. But ultimately what we're getting to in purpose is there is no greater purpose in this world than service to other human beings, to give back to the human race. Isn't that what your God is teaching you? Isn't that what you're trying to connect with? So again, with doTERRA, again, that outside noise for some of you have made it so difficult to move forward. You like, again, you get excited about it, but you don't even know how to move forward, and then you fear even being there. Well, do I even want to be a presidential? Ooh, I don't want 18,000 people in my down. Ooh, that's a lot of responsibility. Guys, it's not that much responsibility. Again, if they align with what your feelings and emotions and your beliefs are, let's just make your feelings and beliefs and emotions stronger and more foundational so that you see better for yourself. Ultimately, guys, we need to connect with what doTERRA executives are connecting with. Dave Sterling has a 25-year plan for doTERRA. If a lot of you are thinking that, you know what, this went wrong, that went wrong, something's occurring bad, I need to take I need to step back. My people are fearing this, they're fearing that, security breach, whatever. David Sterling has a 25-year plan here, guys. The challenge is for us as distributors, even blues and presidentials, do all the top leaders in the company, do they fit and match with Dave Sterling's ideals and values and what he truly believes this 25-year plan is? Or are we too immersed in some of the rhetoric of negativity going on online or other places? Guys, he has to have buy-in from us, just like Callie had buy-in from you guys. Or just like my team has buy-in from me. How does someone that works 30 hours a week maximum in doTERRA hit double presidential diamond? This is how, right here. My purpose, or my pathway to purpose, and purpose ultimately turns into destiny. Now, destiny is always unfolding, but the good news is, even as you keep tweaking your purpose, because some of your values and beliefs will change over time. As you get older, certain things won't be so important. Money probably won't be so important as you get older, right? Relationships become even more important as you get older. I look at my parents and how they yearn to have their children and grandchildren around. So see how your values and beliefs and what you truly desire in life will change. So therefore you will tweak your purpose here and there, maybe every 7, maybe 10 years. But when you have such a huge vision of where you're going, and you really believe in that purpose, and nothing's going to get you off that line. Sorry, I haven't even been going through this. I've just been talking about it. Let me even get up to purpose. Again, the best entrepreneurs have a sense of purpose that drives them. You can pivot better if you have a purpose, because then you have something to design towards. Otherwise, it's hard to figure out what to do when something isn't working. See, again, when that purpose is so strong, it doesn't matter what's not working. It doesn't matter what you're going through. When that purpose is so strong, it doesn't matter what the roadblock is. You are simply going to go over that roadblock and hurdle and move on. That's again why we've got to connect with a Dave Sterling type of vision, which is a 25-year vision of greatness, of magnitude. This company, with or without us, is going to be $1 billion company. Well, guess what? It will be quicker to $1 billion company when Dave Sterling has more buy-in from each one of us to see the same thing. Is he stretching himself? Certainly he is. But he's told probably his God and deity that he's willing to do so. What are we willing to do? Maybe some of you are saying, well, I didn't really see myself as even a silver or a gold, but I'm there. Well, again, let's stretch ourselves. Unless you're 75 years old and wanting to retire, you've got some time on your hands. And some people say, I hear it all the time, even on my own team with some of my blue diamonds. Well, I earn a lot of money though. It's more than I ever thought I was going to earn. I don't even know how to spend it all. And I'm thinking, and I said to them, I'm good enough friends with them that I said, you've got to be kidding me. I said, do you know what you can do with that money to help the world? It's not about how many Sea-Doos and cars and homes you can buy. It's about utilizing that money to the benefit of the human race again. It's about paying it forward. Why would we stop doing something that most of us love? And if you don't love doTERRA anymore, or you found yourself maybe dwindling in some of your desires or beliefs towards doTERRA, pick up the pieces. Again, maybe it's something that you choose separately, but remember, why did you get into this business? The oils. The oils are real. The oils have changed people's lives. That's why almost everybody on this call got involved and stayed the course with doTERRA. is because of the oils. It doesn't matter the outside noise again. It doesn't matter about rank. It doesn't matter about a paycheck. It matters about sharing these beautiful gifts of the earth from Mother Nature, from God. Remember, that's why you got involved in the first place, because you would share with even your worst enemy that this oil helped this digestive problem, or this oil helped this respiratory problem. Why would you not share that? It's sometimes when people have made this too much about business that they get lost in the minutia of that business, of too much strategy, of too many meetings. Guys, I try and have so few meetings as, again, not to utilize my personal time. I choose to work with my team leaders one-on-one. I choose for them to understand certain concepts like this. Some of them have lost their why, again, purpose, against purpose being stronger. Some of them have lost that. Some of them have lost the trust in themselves. Maybe they've gone back and reverted to something that they, again, didn't overcome as a child or an adolescent. And they may be reliving that same thing. Well, again, if that's what you want to relive, that's just you programming your subconscious to give you more of what you've already gotten. So we keep getting more of what we've already received in life if that's the way we continue to think and feel about life. I'm saying, no, God sent us down here to think differently, to feel differently. And unless we are giving complete gratitude and love towards him and everybody else in this world, even our enemies, again, the good book says it, just doesn't say it, maybe as direct as some of you or some of us would like to hear it or need it, or maybe some of us don't like to hear it too strong and forceful. Well, as I can say, with True Results and Pathway to Purpose, this is strong, guys. I don't suggest everybody get it, because as I write in the very beginning, some people that will get the booklet are going to put it down, because some of the questions that I ask and some of the things that we probe about, what we're trying to do, again, is elicit you, each one of you, or any person that engages with that. We want to pull their soul out of themselves to see what really, really matters to you. Because it's not just doTERRA that matters to me. My purpose is even, yes, it connects with doTERRA, but it's beyond doTERRA. What can we do for this human race? What can we do for the world? Not just for our families, not just vacations here and there, but what can we really do? How many foundations can we start? How many charitable organizations can we get involved with? It's not just about giving money. It's more about giving time, service. When we stop serving, that's when we get lost. When we start listening to too much outside noise, that is when we get lost. Again, your destiny is always going to be unfolding. You never really arrive at your destiny. You just kind of tweak your purpose as you go, and destiny continues to unfold. So where do I go? I mean, what I always say is, look, here's the starting point. Let's get to the finish point. The finish point is your purpose. But your start has to be very, very deep and foundational with understanding your values and your core beliefs of what you choose. And it is a choice. You don't have to live off of somebody else's beliefs or values. But when you make that end goal so strong, the line becomes straight. Remember, straight and narrow. You don't get off your pathway and veer to the left and the right. As I joked about, I kind of feel myself being the tortoise, not the hare. I go about things not slowly. I just simply do it at my own pace, seeing life unfold in front of me, and hopefully some of you can as well. Anyway, so sorry for having diarrhea today of the mouth, but again, you can see how passionate I am about some of this stuff. TrueResults.training is where we reside with this information. The manuscript, the full manuscript, is actually online. And there's more information. I prefer that people read through the manuscript and the whole website first before working on the workbook, because more and greater information to explain is on the website. And then the workbook comes in the mail if people choose to get it a few days later. But guys, it's up to you. It's not up to anybody else. You guys know, again, some of the universal truths and laws, and you can't blame anybody else for anything that happens in your life. It's just the way that you feel or perceive it to be. But I'm saying, start to feel more, start to feel greater things about yourself and your destiny and your purpose, because only you can define it and go and truly go for it. You only have you to blame. You only have you to move you forward. Don't always need that outside noise or someone else to comfort you. Let it come from within inside you. So just go for it and just be that awesome person that you were meant to be, and even greater. Show even greater things to the world. So anyway, thanks, Callie, for letting me be on. And I truly hope that some of that, maybe not all of it, but even if some of that made sense to you guys, then I guess our time was well spent today.
Thank you so much, Boyd. Do you have a second to do a few Q&A? I have them already in
Sure.
my session.
Sure.
I just had them text me prior, and you hit so many amazing points. I feel well nourished here, and I feel like you've given even me fuel to go, okay, I'm going to go back and revisit those things and really get super clear on. And we talked about this when I was talking to you the other day on that purpose. And I think, you hit it on the nail when you said, isn't it the purpose of all of us to bring humanity the best that we can bring while we're here on this planet? And I think,
right.
again, I think sometimes we lose sight of that and we get caught up in the numbers and the strategy, and I'm not where I want to be. And I love that you just kind of invited us to get centered again, right?
Yeah.
So here are some of the questions that people have. So if I am stuck or wavering, my team is stagnant, my OV's dropping, people are quitting, some of my key leaders are quitting. How do I shift my team? How do I get back on track?
Okay, so obviously the quickest answer is we've got to shift ourselves first, right? We truly have to shift ourselves and what our behavior or our deed is starting to show. A lot of times we get caught up in that, what's going on here? And the team feels that, right? I mean, we can spend another hour just on frequency and vibration, but again, whatever you're giving out is what you're generally receiving. And some may say, well, but I didn't necessarily create that. Well, okay, you may not have, but somewhere there, that vision has to be more. I've often said that we can, if we have never truly been inspired, then how can we inspire someone else? And so not that whoever said that or any of you lacks in inspiration, but again, when that purpose is so strong, when you are so driven, people feel that excitement. They feel the inspiration that you are sharing. And that's why we connect with people on a more spiritual level than just a physical plane of do this, do that, do this, do that. And so maybe it's trying to understand them. What do they truly value? Maybe they don't value a rank or a paycheck anymore. I'm not sure why they're faltering or going away. But when we can appeal to their sense, their different senses, okay, and that's where we need to go back and ask them what they truly value. And they may not be able to answer that question. You probably need to ask a question a little bit differently than, well, what do you truly value? Some people can have that conversation. Other times you'll need to just ask them, what is it that you truly seek for? Again, ask the question a little bit differently. Everybody wants something different in this world. If we can connect that to something inside doTERRA and what we're doing, some of them are, like I said, some of them are probably getting lost in the minutia of daily tasks and goal-oriented checklists. This is where a lot of people go, I'm done. I don't want to do that. Well, this is where I say get back to the creative period and make that stronger so that the proving period is more fun, that they stay the course, because now it's not about huge checklists and goals. The final goal is already dictated and decided by you, that true purpose and destiny. When that's strong enough again, they won't necessarily feel like they've got to pay attention to a checklist all day long. And now you've got to do this and make this many calls and do that. No, it's about grounding yourself and immersing yourself in that creative period and seeing and feeling that you love your team, they love you back, you're serving them, they're serving you, that you're connecting with them about their values and your values. When you can connect those a little bit more together, you'll start to inspire. You'll help them understand what their purpose is, because maybe they've got lost and they just don't understand their why or their purpose. But just again, come from the creative period again and just see and feel and give gratitude for them. I'll tell you what, it works, it works, it works.
Hey, Boyd, I just want to say one quick comment back to taking responsibility for what we are attracting and what we have created. Because I teach folks that if we don't take responsibility for that stuff, if we're just being acted upon, then how can we have the belief to change it, to make it better, to make it different? So I think one of the first steps to really harnessing the power of manifesting is to believe and take responsibility for what is showing up.
Yes.
And let that be the true reflection of our inner belief.
Correct. It is a mirrored reflection, and we do have to only we can take responsibility and accountability for what has happened and occurred. So there's so much that can be done there to live just so much a greater life. But it's dictated by each one of us. It's just, again, feel that love and gratitude for each one of them. That perpetuates more love and gratitude to be felt.
Awesome. Another question. Have you ever had a major key leader quit, and how do you deal with that?
You know what? I haven't. Fortunately. Now, there seems to be an epidemic in doTERRA right now. Let's just, right now, say that word. Let's cancel that. Cancel clear. But I said that. Let's just choose to feel and think about that in a different way. But the epidemic seems to be that there are a lot of people and a lot of teams that have, say, one or two teams that are just falling off the face of the earth, right? I think there's a lot of people. Now, fortunately, I'd say the only I hesitate saying that, but none of you will probably know this person. I think age, for me, has dictated, or the age of this person has kind of dictated their outcome, because anyway, but they haven't chosen to leave. They haven't chosen to disengage, which is a good thing. But hence, again, what would I do? It'd be the same thing. It's just like if you were to call someone and say, because Callie, you have 6 different leaders that got you to Presidential Diamond. Again, what I would choose to do is I work with each of those 6 people differently. I appeal to their senses differently. Some people, again, whether they're a healer, they want, say, if we're trying to put out an incentive, a healer wants a different incentive than a connector, right? A maven wants a different incentive than a salesman. You know, a salesman might say, no, give me an incentive on enrolling 8 people this month. I'll whatever you put out, well, decide what that is. Don't just throw something out there and say, well, I'll give you a free frankincense if you sign up 8 people. No, ask them, okay, well, if that makes you gung-ho, Mr. Salesman or Mrs. Salesman, if you'll sign up 8 people, or however many that is this month, what do you choose to earn? Well, I want $300 PV of product. Okay, whatever that is. Or I want the big diffuser from doTERRA, or the big Modern Essentials book or something. Whatever that is, let those team leaders come up with that, so that, again, they're engaging with you because they're helping to make the decision rather than you telling them what you're willing to do. See what they're willing to do and expand themselves to be able to gain something else. But the thought is, again, don't just leave them there with that. Help serve them and engage with them all the way through. Meaning, whether, if they live in your area, great, go help them with meetings and events and parties. If they don't live in your area, maybe it's traveling out there and showing them some love and doing a meeting for them. But what do they truly want? Do they want you to come to them? Do they want you to do more webinars? Do they want Zooms? Whatever that is, let them help choose choose whatever they choose that they value the most to be able to share doTERRA at a higher level.
Awesome. I think that's really key too. I think so many times we want the standard answer, and what you're saying is, I know the hearts and intents and the purposes of my frontline leaders, and I get in the trenches with them and then meet them where they are in terms of incentives, or how, that's what it kind of sounds like.
Yeah, and even conversations. I know that certain team leaders I can't even have certain conversations with. Certain ones that are leaders, or that are healers, and I've got quite a few of them. Certain ones that are healers, you can't have the conversation about competition. You can't have incentives. Don't necessarily mean much to them. If you tell them that you're going to give them $300 PV of free product to sign up even 2 people, they most likely won't do it. So what appeals to them? What appeals to them is they want to be in a teaching moment. They want to be able to get their hands on someone and do a demonstration in front of a group. Do a demonstration of Aroma Touch or one of the Symphony of the Cells protocols. That gives them a moment to not only touch and connect with the person they're working on, but most healers love to teach. So again, you have to come up with something completely different for them than you would for a connector or a salesperson.
Awesome. How do you recruit new leaders? Do you use online media? Do you use, like, how are you finding new people to grow your business, to grow with your business with you?
So I've never really gone out and found people. I think that when we use the word find, same thing, the subconscious is always going to try and find us someone, but it's always going to be in finding mode. It's never going to be in living in the now mode that you already have, that you've already built that person. So I don't necessarily go out in search, but every once in a while there'll be a key person that I will share my purpose with, or where doTERRA is going. They need to see the bigger purpose again. Now, I never really start out a conversation like that. I generally will start out with giving them, same as usual, they need to have a profound or multiple good experiences with doTERRA's oils, because their interest has to be piqued, right? I never go after just, say, oh, this guy's a business leader, or this gal's a business leader, I'm just going to go after it. I've never approached it that way. Again, I try to live my life and show that my deed is so consistent with what I say and do and the way that I act, that other people want to be around me. I mean, ultimately, we're all trying to expand our circle of influence. Well, again, the more well-rounded, the more calm, the more gratitude you feel towards life and other people, people will see that in your countenance. That's how you can draw people to you. So I know this is kind of weird, but there's a lot of people that do this in doTERRA. I try and live my life so that I draw people to me. And even if I have to be the one that, again, starts out the conversation with sharing an oil with them, especially if I know, again, you're asking questions. You're always asking questions. Hey, I heard you say in a conversation that you have some lower back challenges, blah, blah, blah. Let that be the lead in or the tie in to at least get them hooked on the product or give them a good experience. Once they've had a good experience and that light bulb clicks on above their head, now you've got a tie in to say, hey, now you can understand why I do doTERRA. Let me teach you a little bit more. This is what I see happening. This is why I want you involved. This is how I see our relationship working. And if, some people don't like that type of talk, but again, you need to explain the team concept and the way that everybody fits into the team. So again, like you kind of did, why you got a lot of buy-in from your team, Callie, was you shared that. You shared exactly where you were going. You got everybody else to see that and feel and get immersed into that. And so I try and do that even from, again, after they've had a nice to profound experience, to start to have that conversation that this is what I do, this is how I do it. If you choose to do this with me, here's the game plan. And the game plan is very simple. We go and share product all day long. We give people experiences, and those who gravitate towards the business, we recognize them and teach them one-on-one. That's kind of what I do.
Awesome. So I have another question. It says, when you feel like you're crumbling, or do you have and you talked about visualization a lot. Do you have a tool, or do you have a technique that you just go right back to get back in alignment?
Well, again, so whether it's a vision board, so I have a vision board. I don't necessarily go look at it all day and it's there because it helps me see in my mind's eye when I'm not with the vision board, or I'll take a picture of it so it's on my phone. The thing that I go back to again is that purpose statement that I wrote years ago, and which the workbook is helping people to ultimately do. They're refining their purpose statement all the way through to destiny, so that once you've gotten to destiny, your purpose statement is so strong, so specific, so focused and defined that there's no need for you to forget that ever again, because you both feel it in your heart and you see it over and over again that this just is. One of the things I've benefited from is my mother has always taught me to live in present time. Most people see things out in the future, so therefore they're always searching for something to happen in the future. I see things in present tense. I see things as already happening. Again, the subconscious doesn't know whether it's happened or not. It doesn't know if you physically lived through it. It just brings you back, again, more of what you've desired and thought and felt. So I live in present time and already give thanks for being triple presidential. I mean, anybody who knows me, and even those that don't, they just simply know me by name and title in doTERRA, but kind of like I asked the question the other day, Callie, and I'm not being arrogant at all. I'm just saying, does anybody doubt that Boyd and Sandy will be a triple presidential diamond at some point? No, there's zero people will doubt that, because I have given them no reason to doubt that, right? Everything in my countenance and the things that I share and the things that I say and do reek of being triple presidential. That's not my only focus, though. That's just saying, hey, there is no space and time, really. There is no space and time. As kind of, you and I chatted about, not in that specific way, but back at that leadership training, when was that, February? That there's no real time to pressure yourself about. It's going to happen. And I just live in my brain and my heart and my visions as I've already gotten there. I've already arrived. So again, I make it so strong, though, that whether it's smelling an oil. So one of the things we talk about in the True Results program is that you draw upon the senses. You draw upon smell. You draw upon touch. You draw upon seeing things again in your head. You draw upon music, whatever that is that helps you get back into the remembrance of exactly what you made so strong. But the thing is, again, when you make it so strong, you will be able to see that same thing over and over and over every single day of your life. When you see that over and over and over again, exactly the way that you would choose for it to unfold, and you teach your subconscious that you're already living in that moment, you're already giving gratitude for being presidential diamond or whatever you want to be, or you're giving gratitude and thanks for hitting a certain rank. Now, someone that all of you know of, but you don't know this person, but all of you know of this person because they're pretty famous. I was going over True Results with them, and they're working through the workbook right now. And one of the comments from this person was, well, isn't that kind of blasphemous to tell God what you want? You're basically telling God that this is going to happen in your life, isn't that? And I said, well, okay, let's liken it to this. When we pray, we generally pray not just giving thanks for what's happened. We also pray in advance to say, please help us as we travel today or next week to be safe, right? We're praying for something in the future, but as it's kind of already happened. Because what happens? This is where people need to draw upon prayer even a lot more, because guys, that's exactly what prayer is. You're not just asked to give thanks for what has happened. You're asked to give thanks for things that are going to occur, things that you want to occur. That is not blasphemous. Again, we're creators, and as long as we're connected with deity and universal truths and principles, and we don't get off of center line, it'll happen. I guarantee you it'll happen. It's sometimes just a little bit difficult to get there. But again, if you choose to do the program and stick with it, you'll find your way. You'll find your way. And then people will have access to me and one of our other trainers that if they start to get stuck or lost, we'll get you on track. Believe me, I've always told my team, if you can't see yourself getting there, or if you can't, find a way to make this happen, you just see Boyd kicking you in the rear end. Use that visual to say, oh, I better get going again. Because they know that if they get on the phone with me, that whatever excuse, whatever they throw at me, again, it's not going to be even worthy of our time to talk about it, because that's simply just an excuse. So.
Awesome. Well, thank you so very much. Maybe we can chat again in a future date. I think there are questions, again, building in Taiwan, building in China, but I'm feeling that you have fed us so well. And so maybe if you're open, we can have you back.
Certainly.
Sure.
Of course.
And anything we can do, Boyd, we are huge Truman fans, so anything we can do to bring value to you and your team, even in love and prayers, we'll add to your fire and your greatness. So
thanks, Callie.
Thank you so much.
The cool thing is, guys, remember, see, imagine, feel exactly what Callie is feeling and what Dave Sterling is feeling and everybody else, that this is bigger than all of us, but we don't need to feel that it's of such great magnitude that we don't play a role. No, we play a role, and that role is go do what we were taught to do in the beginning. Share the oils, share the oils, share the oils.
And what a humbling, just being at that presidential pursuit with you and so many other great leaders, and just being able to contribute, right?
Right.
I just felt this humbling spirit come over me. Just, I cannot believe that I get to play here with these types of people who can expand my mind and expand my vision and expand my heart, right? To do more. And
Yes.
to not get so caught up in, oh, there's a lang-a-lang in the deep blue now. Our business, I mean, just funny things that kind of, like you said, kick you off your perch. Like, I remember you saying that. You said, I'm so fixed on my perch. I know my purpose that nothing really gets me. Like, so there's a security breach, or so there's this. Like, I'm staying here. And
Right.
I just love that resolve, and I'm aligned with you. I feel this exact same way. And so when things happen, I just feel that resolve. There's that trust. And there's, again, that connection to deity and connection to my purpose and what I'm really doing on this planet. And so just thank you for reiterating that. And I hope that, our team here lets that just sink in
Yeah.
and marinate. And then again, visit trueresults.training and learn more. So
Well, yeah,
thank you.
and to finish that, just where I was going with that again was, when we know that deity is there, when we know that, okay, bottom line, it's this simple. People aren't perfect. doTERRA isn't perfect. What is perfect, though? The oils. That's why we're involved. That's why I said that earlier. The oils are perfect. You guys can liken that to some things religious as well. People aren't perfect. The company's not perfect, but the oils are. Let that be deep enough for all of you.
Thank you. Thank you, Boy Truman. We'll be in touch.
Okay, thanks, guys.
And happy birthday.
Oh, thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye.